In this video, I'm going to go over the testing procedures that I do when I'm at your property. So if I'm adding a new socket or I'm adding some new lighting, I'm making a change basically to an alteration or making an alteration, sorry, to a socket or anything like that, I complete what's called a minor work certificate. And I'm going to briefly show you the things that I have to test, or I test as part of my process, because it's obviously important as an electrician that if I'm making an alteration to your existing circuits, then to me, I want to make sure that any alteration that I make is going to be safe. And that is what the IET wiring regulation, so BS 761, stipulate that you do as an electrician. So it's not just me turning up and adding a new socket. Anyone that does that without giving you a minor work certificate is not doing it correctly. They should be providing you with certification. If I'm changing a consumer unit, then that's another level altogether. That is an electrical installation certificate, but this is all about a minor work certificate. So if I add a new socket, or I add a new outdoor socket or some new lighting, any kind of work like that, then I issue a minor work certificate, and I'm going to go over what is involved in that. If I'm changing over a socket, so a small job like that, or swapping over a light fitting, that's just a like for like replacement. So in that case, I'll just do a basic visual check of your installation and make sure it's safe on that level. But a minor work certificate looks like this, and this is the kind of testing that I have to complete. So this is the software that I use. It's called iCertify. And to complete a minor work certificate, you can see here in this list, I can do an EICR, which is a very in-depth look at your electrical installation. So making sure that everything is safe. If I'm going to do a board change, or change your consumer unit, or fuse board as some people call it, I would do an EICR, a pre-check, to make sure that your installation is safe enough for that change. But yeah, a minor work certificate here. So the testing I do, I will put your name, a description of the works, and if I see any issues or anything that's wrong with with anything within the property, or there's a lack of bonding or something like that, or anything like that, I will put a note to say this, or any defects. With regards to bonding, before any work can be carried out, I have to change the bonding and make sure that there is bonding, because this is a very important aspect of your electrical installation. But that's for another day. But yeah, I look at the system earthing arrangement. So for example, most properties, if your property was built within the last 15-20 years, it's highly likely that it's a TNCS. If your property is over 100 years old and it's out in the middle of nowhere, it's likely it's got its own earth rod and it's a TT. You'll know that as if you see this yellow and green cable with a rod that goes into the ground, then you'll know that it's a TT. Or the next most common is a TNS. But generally speaking, most properties are a TNCS. And I have to measure the earth fault loop impedance at your property, and it has to be below, if it is a TNCS, it must be below 0.35. That's measured there. I check that there's a main protective bonding. I check that there's bonding to the water and gas, or oil if you have that. Over the next page, this is where I make a reference of where your distribution board is, or your consumer unit, the circuit I'm working on. So if it's the lighting circuit and it's 5, I fill that in, and then I fill out, say, first 4 lights. Installation reference method. This could be, I won't go into that, but this is the way the cables are clipped to the joist or behind the fabric of the building. On most cases, or a lot of cases, it's reference method C. If I am adding a new circuit, it's likely to be 2.5. Well, it has to be 2.5 and 1.5 CPC. The circuit overcurrent protective device. So this is about the circuit breaker. So I look at that, and most of the time it's a 60898 type B, again, type B. So this is the curve. And then you've got the rating. So for lighting, it's 6. For a radial socket circuit, it'll be 16, or a water heater or something like that. For a ring main, or this is your sockets, generally speaking, it's 32 amps. Then you've got the RCD as well. So most of the time it's BN 61008, but there are all sorts of different devices there. It could be that you've got an RCDO. Generally speaking, they're type B. Most of the time they're 63 amps or 80 amps. Now I'm going into the details here, and I shouldn't be, because it's very boring to you, but these are the kinds of things that I am checking. It's not just a case of an electrician coming into your home, well, not me anyway, and just changing something. That is not what I do. Okay, and then the R1, R2, I'm not going to go into that again. The continuity of the ring, the voltage that I do insulation resistance testing, that's testing the insulation on your cables, and then what type of RCD it is, or when it trips. So I've got to do a test to see how it's got to trip within 300 milliseconds. If it doesn't, that's a fail. Okay, and I've got to do something about that before I make any alterations to your property. So if it does fail, I've got to say, and we need to change that RCD before any work can be carried out. Polarity, are the cables in the right, there is the line and the neutral ran the right way, and then that's all done. So this testing can take up to an hour. I do it properly, but it's a really important check. It's to make sure that your property is safe for any alterations that I am about to do, and that is the first thing that I will do when I come to do any work in your property before anything's done. And it gives you peace of mind as well. You know that I've done this property properly. You've been given this certificate because everything is passed. Okay, I will sign this off, and then when I complete the work, send over the invoice, this will be attached to it. And that is part of my job. My promise to you is that everything is done to the book, and to make sure that your property will be safe. Okay, so that's the minor work certificate. I will do another video on other certifications that I do, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and it gives you a little bit of an idea of what an electrician does in your property. If you've got any comments or you'd like to know more, please email me. If you want any job, no matter how small, again, please email me and let me know. Thanks for watching.